Stand way to do it.
Stand for the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, as a reminder, these meetings are just to get the presentation of the department heads. We are not voting on anything. We're not gonna suggest any changes in your budget, okay? So I tell people that, the members, you got a big area here, you can write your notes down. So when we come back to do the final review on these budgets, you have it, but be careful. Last night, somehow we're kinda insinuating to make a move on some of these budgets, and that requires a vote, because we have a full quorum. As a matter of fact, I was not getting used to this. For years we would always have 3 or 4, always waiting for a quorum. We got a free quorum tonight, we always seem to. Okay, library, okay. You wanna give us an overall view first?
Sure,
You know, by the way, you know everybody, right?
I don't think I've met,
Victor?
no, I've met Victor last year, right? I don't think I know you.
I'm Jessica.
Hi Jessica, I'm Robin. Okay, nice to meet you. And, were you on the board last year?
Nikki.
Nikki? Nice to see you. Well, I just wanted to quickly go over some statistics with you.
Okay.
We had a record-breaking year, for summer reading. We had over 1,000 participants this year.
Is that kids you mean?
No, kids and adults.
Okay.
It was, we had an all-time high of 8,114 visits, June through August, 500 more than last year. We had an impressive, total visits, for the calendar year, 2024, of 26,240. That included curbside visits and visits into the library.
Is it the visits, would it all be all different people, or was it visits? Could be anybody.
Could be anybody, repeat.
Because somebody could be here, 3 times a month, that would count as a
Sure.
visit.
Yeah.
So it's not different people,
It's, right,
it's visits, okay.
visits,
How do you
yeah.
define a visit? Taking a book out?
No, anybody who walks through the door.
Okay, some type of counter or something?
We have to count ourselves.
Oh, you physically
Yeah.
count, okay.
Yeah, we have a state, report that's due every year that is very involved, so we keep a lot of statistics. We also had, 33% increase in circulation last year. We circulated, 3,600 materials a month. And that included 7,121 items that were picked up. And that all, that's all pretty much part-time hours and our circulation coordinator hours. We also are, just to let you know, we're still working in conjunction with the schools. We host visits throughout the year from the classrooms of Quaker Farms, Great Oak, and the middle school, providing students with new cards, reader advisory, and checking out items. So that all kind of tells you a little bit about what we do and how many hours we put into this. We are open 6 days a week and 2 nights a week.
6
So-
days, Saturday and Sunday, or
Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday?
My part-time staff, they, our cataloger, she's 19 and a half hours a week. She, makes up almost $26,000 worth of my, part-time budget. And then I have 7 clerks working a total of 98 hours per week. They make anywhere from minimum wage to $19 an hour. And then I also have a library page who is a high school or college student. They work 12 hours a week. And that's also at minimum wage. And then
What was that person? A high school or college kid?
Yes, it's called the page.
Page.
They shelve.
Okay.
And then I need extra summer reading staff 10 hours a week at minimum as well. So that figure there, it's easy math. It equates up to, what I need for staff.
Robbie, who was the part-time person? You
The
said,
page,
no, there was somebody you said before the clerks.
or
The
our
cataloger.
cataloger,
Cataloger.
yeah. She makes $25 an hour.
And she's here full-time?
No, she's there.
Oh, 19 and a half hours.
Yep. So that's all my part-time staff. Full-time, is myself, the, adult service librarian, the children's librarian, and the CERC coordinator, and we all work 40 hours a week, so those salaries reflect 40 hours a week, not 32.
Would that be director? The director, what'd you say was the other?
The director, the 2 librarians, adult service and children's, and the CERC coordinator.
CERC coordinator?
Yeah, circulation.
Okay. And that person works how much, 40 hours?
Yep, we all work
Oh,
40.
you all? Okay.
Yep. And then we have our custodian who is working a little less now for us, so that's why that number has gone down. Library board clerk, that's self-explanatory.
Do you share a custodian with another building?
Oh, yeah, with many,
Okay.
yeah.
So here.
We only
she's
have
a
him,
townwide-
a couple hours a day.
Townwide custodian.
Yeah. I'm requesting more money for books for several reasons. Our large print collection, was really beefed up over the last few years, because of our ARPA funds that we got. We got $7,500 in ARPA funds. And that has now, expired, so, and we do have a big senior population, and, people appreciate the large print books, so I'm asking for more funds, just because we need to keep that going. And if you look at what I've spent so far, typically, the reason why, it's only at about 10,000 right now is because I just submitted a bunch of bills, but also we purchased more books right before summer reading, so just to beef up our collection and gear up for summer reading. So that's why there's a little less than, a little bit more than half spent.
So real quick, you said $7,500 in ARPA funds, so that wasn't included in the budget, so you're basically, cause last year was $20,000 for books. This year is $27,500, and you're saying it's because you received $7,500 in ARPA funds last year. So essentially, it's the same amount of money you're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay.
Our civic activities, our statistics for that is, our total program stats for the year were 405 programs with 5,341 participants. So, as you can see with the calendars I passed out, we have a lot going on every month. We do a lot of programs that don't cost us any money, and then we do bring people in, that we pay for programs. And, that includes all of our supplies for programs and everything. So you know, that money gets eaten up quickly. Our Santa visit, and so forth. Computer hardware, we like to pretty much do the same every year because it would be a big burden if we, tried to replace all our computers at once. We have, what do we, Jess, we have
19
yeah, we have staff computers and then we also have public computers. Our computer maintenance, we are going to have to upgrade to Windows 11, so I'm asking for a little bit more money next year.
You're still on Windows 8?
No, Windows
10.
10.
No,
10
10.
rather?
Yeah, we're still on 10. So we need to be upgraded, so that's why that amount just goes up a little bit. Our computer software, same as last year, $1,000 for the kids. Then we have a billboard in the foyer for $240. That's our yearly cost. We have a $400 a year mobile printing software, which allows patrons to print from anywhere. $160 for Zoom, and $100 for our iDrive backup software. That's our staff share drive in the library. So that's only $100 a year. Conferences and meetings, it's about the same as last year. We get products at a discount and services at a discount only by attending these conferences. So it's important for us to go and, you know, brush up on our skills and get the discounts that we need so that we can perform our you know, do everything and make the library a great place to be. Our integrated library system, that's going up primarily because of our bibliomation fee. So every year, they base our fee off of how many employees we have and how much circulation we do. And so every year that goes up a little bit. That also includes our library email notification program, our ESET virus and nanite protection, our deep freeze security software, our bibliomation email and domain, our lib data for the public computers, our Wix, which is our website hosting platform for our new website, our Swank movie licensing, our constant contact email, and our Hoopla streaming platform. So that includes all of those very important things that we need to run the library. Dues, basically the same as last year. Electricity, we're asking, I guess, for a little more this year. Jim, do we have a rate or anything?
No.
No, okay, so this is just
It's metered right there at the building,
a
right?
guesstimate. You know, yeah. Equipment expensed a little bit more, because the book carts have gone up a little bit and the shipping costs have gone up a little bit. The other item I wanted to flag you on is my facility maintenance. Right now, I haven't spent much of it, but it is because my HVAC has not come out of there yet, my HVAC contract. Also, my pest control contract and the spring window cleaning. So that's gonna add about $5,000 to that number.
So it's not in here.
It's not in there yet. And then, you know, we also get the handicap doors serviced twice a year. Our fire extinguishers get inspected and we get the, septic pumped, and also, the restroom cleaning and maintenance supplies come out of that line item. Propane, I'm asking for a little less this year because I locked in at a cheaper rate. And it doesn't seem as though we're using as much, propane as we have in the past.
Quick question for, I
Yes.
guess, Jim. Or, I don't know, you're saying you locked in at a rate. I mean, if we're using gas, oil, whatever in town, are you responsible for the library, or should that be a town thing, or how does
I
that work?
went out and locked in a price for the town, and Robbie came to me afterwards and said she had found a different price by negotiating with one vendor, not in a bid, but it was and she asked if she could go with her building outside of the bid, and I said yes.
Okay. I assume it's a favorable rate compared to what?
It was a couple cents cheaper than we're paying.
Yeah, and we've been doing business with them since, you know.
I was just
and they
curious
always
about
do.
why you were doing it versus the town, but it sounds
Right.
like you were just able to be proactive and do it on your own.
I did the gasoline, the diesel fuel, the heating fuels, and the propane. And the electricity usage, not the delivery charge and all
Yeah.
that.
Magazines and newspapers, same as last year. We have our Overdrive magazine use subscription. We cut our print magazines, to only 16 now, because we offer more digital magazines. We have our Waterbury Republican newspaper subscription. We have, our Overdrive Libby downloadable ebook and audiobooks, service, which, boasted 6,289 downloads last year. And we also have $1,000 for Newsbank, which is an online digital database of newspapers, magazines, and professional journals, all used for research purposes. And that had 1,300 searches last year. Our mileage, last year it was cut. I'm asking for the same as I asked for last year because it's not gonna be enough money, you know, with going to conferences and stuff. And just to reiterate, we don't ever put in mileage for, you know, driving around town or even surrounding towns. It's just, you know, further than basically the valley. Sidewalk, I don't even think I have this on there anymore, do I? Oh, sidewalk, yeah. I don't need that anymore because Tyler's doing it, my janitor. Departmental supplies, self-explanatory audiobook, CD, DVD cases, barcodes, labels, book jackets, label protectors, date stamps, bags for curbside, library cards, flyers, brochures, posters, print promotions, and program supplies. Some of the program supplies come out of there, but the majority of them come out of the program line item. And then the office supplies, that's self-explanatory. The telephone, our fire alarm, lines keep increasing every year. They have to be landlines, so that's pretty much where that increase is.
Increase or decrease?
Oh, you're right, it is a decrease. I'm looking at my projected this year. Yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, it went down also because I changed internet phone systems. They went up, they were gonna go up so much on us, like, I don't know, $150 to $200 a month, and I was like, no way, so I went out and I got another vendor, and we were able to save a little bit on that. Waste removal self-explanatory. Water, a little bit more because, we're having, you know, more foot traffic in the library. And the alarm system is self-explanatory. So that's basically it.
I got a couple of questions.
Sure.
On the, let's go with the library. Years and years ago, library was used for a lot of research. Is there much research in the library anymore? Is it all that's on the line? There's no sense of going to the library, you can get it off of, Google, you can get it, when AI comes, it's gonna be super dynamite. So, I mean, is there much research, do you have much, if I wanted to do research, is there much to find in there, in the library? Or what are we just getting books to read, is that the?
I will pass that question off to our adult service librarian.
No, there's plenty of research being done in the library. A lot of it is based on the need for digital literacy skills. So there's a lot of people that come in that don't know how to do research, and we're there to help them and show them what databases to use, how to access websites, and then how to interpret that information into a collective research.
So, what type of, you know, you can't have, library can't have for everything, so what would basically be for research? Would I get, if I was getting into engineering, and I wanted some information on engineering, is that available?
Yes,
Or
yes,
is
we
it-
have information on engineering. We have job sites that you can go to. We can show you databases that have projected job expenses and skills that are required, different certifications that you would need. All of that's accessible through databases that we have at the library.
But you would say 85% of people go to the library for books, for reading, versus research?
There's a large chunk that is recreational reading, but
Yes.
there is, I would say, almost an equal amount of people who are coming in for more academic purposes.
Okay. Now the books, okay, how do you select the books?
So I choose the books for the adult side. A lot of it is based on interest, gaps in our collection, and then filling needs according to both.
So, let's say, if I go up there, I'm looking for, top 10 sellers at, on New York Times.
Mhm.
That would be there.
We have the New York Times bestseller list posted right next to our new book list, and we highlight which ones that we have and which ones are on order.
And people can request a book and you could get it for them too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you have a drive-through for the library? People leave also a book and get another book that they ordered, or no?
We have a curbside cabinet.
Curbside?
Yep.
Okay. Close enough, I guess,
Yeah.
to save that,
Yeah, they can come anytime
okay.
and pick up their book.
It works great.
It works.
It works.
Okay.
Yes, we have a user over
Yes, and it's quick.
She's abusing it, she's abusing it, isn't it? So, okay, again, your website,
Yes.
I could do research off your website.
Yes.
I could.
Mhm.
How would I get to that?
So you just go to oxfordlive.org, and then there's a research area that'll bring you out to a whole slew of databases that we have access to through the Connecticut State Library.
All right. The other thing is, how many, the part-timers again? You
Yes.
have- So is that, how many part-timers, how many people, let's say on a given day, are working there at one time?
My part-timers?
The whole crew? on
Oh,
a given
okay.
day?
Day to day, so on a Monday, it's myself, our cataloger, 2 part-timers, and a page.
So that would like carry forward.
And then Tuesday through Saturday, well, Tuesday through Friday, we have more because we'll have the 2 librarians there because they work Saturdays, so they don't work Mondays. And then Saturdays, just the librarians are there with part-timers.
Okay.
I'm not there and the CERC, coordinator aren't there on Saturday.
And is any part-time, or anybody are knowledgeable about what books are available and what to read, and like, some of the bookstores do, it's, you know, they spike different books, do you have that service, or?
Yes, everybody is knowledgeable and can help you find
Well, I
something.
know I help you, but some people, is there anything, is there shelves there to say, okay, this is the recommendation from the staff? Do you have that?
We have displays that are staff suggestions, yes.
You do?
Mhm.
Yeah, we have one clerk in particular who does our book displays.
Mhm.
And obviously she's read the books that you recommended, right?
Yes, yep, she has, yep.
Alright,
Does
Well,
anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, what is, folio book donation day?
So that's our Friends of the Library in Oxford. And, they do 2 book sales a year. One on referendum day and one on election day, because we're very close to the polls. And so what they do is they collect books for 2 weekends, usually the month before the sale, and then they sell the books. We don't take donations all the time. They don't take donations all the time, they just take it like a month before the sale. And they do it in the parking lot. And they have a band. Yeah, but they inspect the books, you know, because people wanna dump their old ratty books, and they inspect everything, and then they take what they want. And they'll give, so if people bring junk, they won't take it. They have to be in good condition, and they have to be up to date, because we're constantly weeding our collection, to provide up to date, books. We don't want anything that's outdated.
Quick question.
Yes.
On your wages part-time,
Yes.
prior, like years past,
Mm-hmm.
you were at 75,000, and went up to 100,000. Last year, you were at 120,000. This year, you're asking for 127,000. Is this an increase? Why the increase from 75 up to, 127, which is $50,000 over the course of, 4 years?
Prior to you coming, I believe I requested over $100,000 the first year.
Okay.
And the Board of Finance kept giving me 75, so every year I had to go back and get more money from them towards the end of the year, because it was never enough.
So how much then realistically over the last few years have you been spending, and why do you need more this year? Is it an increase in pay? Is it more people?
These figures are not more people, it's because of the cost of minimum wage. Cause it went up last year, and then it wasn't supposed to do anything else, and then it went up again.
No, it is supposed to go up, it indexes every
Yeah,
October.
well, now it
Yeah,
is,
well, it's been indexing
when-
for 2 years.
when we had that 4 or 5 year plan, they never said it was gonna go up.
Yes, they did, it was part of the legislation.
Oh, it was?
It's, I don't mean to
Oh,
correct you,
okay.
but I know this from, so it said, once it capped out at June 1st, whatever that year was at the top, $15, it's gonna index every October based on, it used to be called the cost of living increase, it's called something else now, so the labor commissioner sets the new price every October until they pass new legislation, or, yeah, if they pass new legislation.
So basically, sometimes it gets us twice in a fiscal year.
So it's not more hours, it's just the minimum wage.
Exactly.
Well, there was also, there was a full-time employee that retired, and Robbie replaced him with part-timers.
Yes, that was our cataloger. So that's why that line item got so large, because we took it out of the full-time, budget and put it into the part-time.
okay, anybody else got any questions? Anybody? Okay, Robbie, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Jeff, do something next?
Everyone here for support?
We're gonna get the same minimum wage scenario, we're all living with it.
Exactly. I think I know everybody, but for the record, my name is Kira Nastiriak, and I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. With me is Glenn Shumitz, who's the Chair of the Park and Recreation Commission.
I didn't get anything.
Glenn Shumitz.
Okay.
So if you want, I can go through line by line like Robbie did. You are looking at the only full-time
employee of the Parks and Rec Department. So you have myself, and then the way the budget's laid out next, the wages, other seasonal, that is all of the lifeguards and camp counselors that we have. So we do have a, camp director, he's going into his 28th year with us, and we have an aquatics director who's going into her 27th year with us. You know, they are not paid very much. You know, currently they're paid $22 an hour. And obviously they've been with us quite a long time. For our
How many seasonal people do you have on that 219,000 approximately?
if somebody wants to add quickly, I have a camp director, aquatics director, 17
That's all in that one
Yep.
seasonal? Okay.
17 husky camp counselors, 17 travel camp counselors, and about 24 lifeguards.
60 people.
About, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't add them up.
Is that an increase over last year? Or
Nope.
is that the same?
That's what we have. So we
But
have,
the 21% increase isn't due to minimum wage, 'cause minimum wage didn't go up 21%.
well, but yes, so my footnote is we were short a year prior about $29,000 because my figures were not added. So I added that 29,000 that we were short, that Jim and I had to shift around from other line items, and I'm not sure if it came out of contingency. So I added what was the shortfall from years past plus the 4.2% increase. And also, you know, what I'm building into that is, you know, a brand new person with us is gonna be $16.35 an hour. Like I said, I've got somebody with us who's in their 28th year with us, and they're only at 22. So I'm gonna be requesting, you know, an increase for them. For each camp, so for Huskies Camp and Teen Travel Camp, we have the site director, who is a closer, you know, adult. One's 29 years old, he's a teacher, you know, by his day job. The other one is, you know, a college student who's gonna be 21, who's in the elementary education field. So they are, you know, the one who's the person on the ground if our camp director isn't there, and he obviously can't be in two places at one time. So they get paid a little bit more. Same thing when it comes to our lifeguards. We have shift leaders, so every shift you have that one person who's the go-to person. If something's going wrong, they go to them to try to figure it out. So once again, we wanna pay them a little bit more. To be comparative with other towns, I have to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that we give them a little bit of increase. They can go next door to Seymour and they can just be a flat-out counselor with not the same level of responsibility and make probably more. So for us to keep our people, we have to be a little bit competitive.
You have a minimum, like if you have the swimming pool.
Yep.
You have a minimum of the river, Jackson's Cove.
Yes, we do. It's based on the footage of the waterfront. So if I was to go by the Red Cross standards, I only need one lifeguard on the beach. To me, that's not sufficient. We have 3 chairs, so we have 3 guards on the beach at all time. And then we have, you know, 2 at the gate. So we recycle them so they get out of the sun. They get a little bit of a break. They do the gate, you know, checking passes and selling passes. And then they go back and cycle through the chairs. So we usually have 5 guards on staff at what, you know, per shift. Like I said, I personally don't feel comfortable with only having 1 guard for that waterfront. And a lot of the times when it's a heavy load of kids, not only do we have 3 in the chairs, we have 1 out on the dock or 1 floating on the buoy. You know, and for those of you that are familiar with Jackson Cove, it's very shallow and then it drops very deep. And then, you know, you go out to the dock. So you got that kid that doesn't realize that drop is right there. And, you know, it's, I don't, like I said, I wouldn't feel comfortable with only having 1 guard out there. And then for camp, for ratio, we are a little bit better than the state ratio. The state should be 1 to 10. We run 1 to 7. In Huskies Camp, we have 130 kids a week for 6 weeks. In Teen Travel, we have 43 kids a week for 6 weeks. We cap Teen Travel at 43 due to the fact that of busing. This way we only run 1 bus because we never have enough kids to fill 2 buses, and it's not cost effective to fill a bus and a quarter or a bus and a half. So we cap that one. Our little kids only travel by school bus once a week, so we run 3 buses every week with them. But the bigger kids sometimes do coach buses, and like I said, it's just not cost effective to do that. Because, you know, we always get the people when their kid hit the waiting list, they're like, well, why can't you take it? We know there's 10 people on the waiting list. And I'm like, a bus for 10 people, I can't really justify, you know, a 50 passenger or 52 passenger bus for 10 people. And so it's the 43 kids plus our 7 staff. And like I said, we have about 24 lifeguards we hire. you know, we've got some kids that only work a shift a week, so only work 6 hours a week. You know, we have some that work 40 hours a week for us. So we always have that,
You gotta have that buffer, because
exactly.
we have the same thing where all of a sudden 2 kids never show up.
Mhm.
And then what do? The 1 for 10 is fine, but if it's the age goes down, it's actually more per
Yep.
child. You can
Yeah.
have it 5, but you got youngsters there.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, you always gotta have backup.
Exactly, and that's why for, you know, for Huskies, we have that, so we have 3 counselors in each group, we have 5 groups, we have the site director, and we have the one who's the kind of floater and assistant, the site director, wherever we need them, because sometimes, you know, Orange group is a little more challenging this week based on the kids there, so we need 4 people in Orange group versus 3, and, you know, maybe the little kids, for whatever reason, they're not adjusting as well, and even though there's less kids in that group, they're more needy, so we have to adjust and send a counselor there. So this model we've been using for, I think, 3 years now, and it's worked very well. And we sell out, we have weight, like I said, we max at 130, we can't physically fit more than 130 kids at Community Chapel. And we do 2 lunch waves, and we alternate when some kids are in the pool, some kids are in the field, some are up on the deck doing arts and crafts, and 130 is the max, especially if we have to. In very severe inclement weather that just comes on, we are allowed to take them inside, and with it now being their sanctuary, we use the other areas of the building, and we can't fit more than 130 kids in, you know, their conference rooms and their little side sanctuary.
So, why don't you give us a quick rundown of all the programs that Park and Rec has, so what you're running every year?
How much time do you
No,
have?
I said a quick rundown, and I don't have to talk, I don't have to tell you to talk fast.
You're used
That
to
ain't
it.
done.
So for our after-school programs, we run programs from Quaker Farms through the middle school. We added the middle school this year. So we do art programs, we do jail ball, boot camp, which are phys ed programs. We do food explorer programs that teaches kids how to cook with not using anything other than, like, you know, the cake pop machine or something like that. We do the STEM science programs. We do the Lego engineering programs. We do yoga. And this year, our new thing is we've added the middle school. We have interest. We're doing a baseball card trading program, teaching kids how to, you know what good kids' cards are in trade. And we do an art program there as well. And that's just during the school year. In the summer, our biggest obviously are the summer camps, but we also run standalone bracelet making camp. Girls love that, the friendships. We did a Taylor Swift camp last year, which we're gonna do back, where they write their own songs, they love it. We will also do some sort of phys ed program, you know, whether it's Skyhawks, which is the multi-sports, or whether we just do it a soccer base. So we have those, and then we'll do the Lego engineering just to balance out the parents who are only looking for a week or 2 for their kids. We also run our adult programs. We are busy every night next door. We have yoga, we have strength and tone, we have Zumba, we have bar, which is kind of a strength and tone where you use an imaginary ballet bar, running there. Then we have all our adult leagues, from volleyball to softball to basketball, and then all the kids leagues. We have Pop Warner football and cheer, flag football, softball, baseball,
Well,
basketball,
obviously, who runs all
soccer.
those leagues?
We have, each league has its own board,
They do, okay.
but they ultimately do report and are responsible to the Park and Rec Commission. So we oversee them. And even the ones that are 501c3s, you know, technically they're not part of us, they're affiliated with us, but they still follow all Park and Rec rules and procedures. And anytime if there's any sort of incident, we're looped in to let us know that, you know, this happened at such and such, where this kid said this, and, you know, we had to bring them in and talk to them. So we're in the loop for all that.
You don't do trips anymore.
I am doing trips still,
Okay.
or we are doing trips still. We are bus
Why did I
sharing.
ask?
We are bus sharing with Woodbury because we are having a hard time filling a bus. Our number that we have to hit to run our own is 42. We can usually get 28, 32. We just can't get that most. So we're bus sharing with Woodbury this year.
We also do the Easter egg hunt, trick or trunk, turkey shoot,
Fishing rodeo.
fishing rodeo.
Visit with
which are
Santa?
hourly.
Okay.
So those are all, yes, thank you. Those are all the regular programs that we run, and I know a lot of you have attended them. And like I said, our part-time staff, I have one part-time office assistant who works 16 hours a week, and then that's it.
It's enough.
You know, we do have a park maintainer position, which we are currently looking to fill, which is the person who empties the garbages and cleans the bathrooms at the facilities, gets Jackson Cove ready for parties. Obviously in the summer, we rent out Jackson Cove. I am happy to say it is rented out almost every single weekend. We have a few Sundays left. So we have that, and then someone, you know, like I said, needs to get that ready for parties.
If anybody knows me and wants to interview for this job, please. It's a tough one to fill.
How many hours a week is it?
It varies,
It
so
varies.
I could talk to you about it after and
Yeah,
give you the details
yeah,
on
it
it. It varies based on the time of the year.
Yeah, I have a couple kids I'm mentoring that are looking for work for the summer.
Oh, it's not just the summer, it's year
It's
round.
all year?
It's year round,
Okay, so
yeah.
local kids.
So, yeah, so that's kind of in a nutshell what we do. Well, I shouldn't say that, other big one is we maintain all of the town lawns and fields. So you will see that
I see that right there.
you'll see that as a line item.
And that's, who's got that contract?
Nature's Edge just got it for another year, and then Field Turf does the Wolverine Field.
Does the,
Wolverine Field, the turf field.
the turf?
So Field Turf is the company that comes out 3 times a year.
But this one does everything else in town?
They do everything else in town.
All town hall, everything?
Town hall, everything.
Okay.
Firehouses, senior center, police, public works, library,
Okay.
and then all the fields. So like I said,
Go back, man. You're the only full-time person there. Does that benefit?
I don't understand that line item, I will be honest with you.
It's the, medical and pension, but it's also, you're still paying FICA and workers' comp on the part-timers.
Okay, all right.
Does that include
That-
seasonal
that-
staff?
that-
So
that explains
that's
it.
$30,000
Sure,
right there.
yes.
Can I just have clarification, part-timers, cause I only have the maintenance gentleman, and Joe Myra, does that include seasonal staff as part-timers?
Part-timers, if they're getting a salary, the taxes are on there.
Okay, so it's seasonal as well. Okay, thank you, that's for clarification.
It's, both sides.
But if you see, I mean, the only thing we requested an increase in is the wages other seasonal and the field maintenance contract. Very small amount, I asked for $300 in overtime.
Well, the field contract's been signed, so that,
Yes.
there's no controversy on that, it's $347, right? Okay.
And then, like I said, you know, ask for a little bit for overtime. Occasionally, we have where a lifeguard is like, oops, my shift, and I'm, you know, an hour over or 2 hours over now. They try to watch it, but so we asked for a little bit for there, and then I did ask for another 100 for the website renewal. The program we use is phenomenal. We can sort that thing every way, shape, or form, so if you only have a child in Quaker Farms, you can only get our notices and communications about programs that affect children at Quaker Farms. You know, if you only care about our trips, you will only get notifications about our trip. That tracks everything. I can pull a report for any program, tell you what it made, you know, over a span of a year, just one current year. And like I said, that's our email system and everything, so it is worth every penny. Our scheduling system, everything's through there. And it, you know, unfortunately, like everything else, it keeps going up, but it also keeps getting a lot of bells and whistles added to
Are your
it.
fees going up?
The fees for that are, what do you mean,
The
fees?
fees for overall, you charge for different programs, are they going up?
No, we are holding steady at summer camp because we realize we are a lot of people's daycare and they can't, I mean, that's why we're at 130 every week and they can't afford it.
That's cheap.
We are holding, 130 is, our number of kids, I apologize.
Yeah.
It's 200 a week for the little kids camp, I believe, and 250 for the older kids. Don't quote me on that, though. I will get back to you guys with those exact
That's
numbers.
better, 100, you lose, you know,
Yep.
close it up, yeah.
We did not raise prices on the rental of the pavilion. We did not raise prices on the fees for the season pass for Oxford residents for Jackson Cove. We did raise the fees for the non-resident, weekend and holiday. We jacked it up to $150. In response to what we've heard from the townspeople, that they felt there were too many out-of-towners, especially on holiday weekends. So, you know, if you really wanna come visit beautiful Jackson Cove, then, you know, it's gonna cost you a little more. You know, it's, obviously, we care about the residents first.
Do you have a total, any idea approximately how much fees we collected, Park and Rec?
I'm gonna refer to you, cause I have it in and out.
What do you mean for how, which
I'm
we,
thinking
Total
about-
for the year.
I'm thinking about 300,000 to 400,000.
yeah, so a
Okay.
lot of our programs, like Jim said, are in and out, so a lot of things are a wash, like we run an art program, we charge it, you know, for the fee, the instructor, things that we take 10% and it goes out. You know, we do make the most money on Jackson Cove, the pavilion rentals and the beach. But yeah, it's probably about 300, 1,000 a year or so.
And there's a lot of work to be done with Jackson's Cove this year too.
Oh, yes, that little thing called the flood,
Yes,
really decimated
it wiped us out.
not only Jackson Cove, but the annex building behind us. You know, we band-aided a softball field so we could use it last year. Baseball field is completely destroyed. Softball field needs work, but like I said, it was needed to be used. Playground is completely destroyed, which has to be rebuilt as well. So those are all on target. You know, I know Jim worked very hard to get FEMA money, or FEMA. We've met with them. You know, it's to be determined whether or not we'll get anything. We're working under the assumption we're not. And so we gotta just rebuild all this. So the line item in the budget, I'm sorry, let me put the old lady glasses on so I can see it here. The facility supplies line item, which, you know, you can see I didn't expend, I'm only at 26% expenditure. We'll be getting depleted, for that, as well as, you know we're gonna be going into the Jackson Cove account. For an example, last year I ordered 14 triaxles of sand for the beach. I'm sorry, 7. This year I've already placed an order for 15. We know, I can tell it was a quarry.
We lost the beach.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's all
Yeah.
rock. It's all stone and rock.
So
We have docks to replace.
we have all 4 docks to replace. So we know there's a lot, that, the whole area between the beach and the pavilion. There was sparse grass because it's not really great for growing grass. It is just sand now. So we have to put topsoil down and seed it because we need the grass area in between. When you rent the pavilion, a lot of people use the grass area for, ring toss or cornhole or whatever.
So where's all this money coming from?
It is coming from a combination of the facility supplies, which we still have a bunch of money in, and the special activities account for Jackson Cove, which is the fees generated from, you won't see it there, it's our special activities. It's the fees generated from the passes in the pavilion rentals.
You guys hold on to that yourselves? Like, why is it not in the budget?
It's outside the, budget. The passes for the beach, the way it was set up years ago, and, even for her programs for the camp and all. That's what Jack was asking before about the amount. I think it's about 300,000 to 400,000 a year.
Yeah, I think the last number when we looked at was like 369,000 and change.
I'm just curious.
Well, we lost time this year, so.
Well, I'm just curious, like, why is it not, is it overseen by the town, or is it overseen by Parks and Rec? And if it's overseen by Parks and Rec, why is it not overseen by the town?
It comes to the town. Most of it's through credit cards, there's occasional deposits, and, it goes directly to the finance department. And the cash that comes in, here we have a system set up where it comes in in sealed envelopes, goes to the bank, and then we get recorded from the bank.
And we account for it where?
In the special activities account, which is fund number 173, and their main account for Park and Rec is
5425.
4,000-100-9100.
In case anybody wants to get into it.
Just to let you know, that is very standard procedure in Park and Recs where they have the 2 budgets, because the thought process is the town through the general budget funds things like the programs, like, Glenn was speaking, like the Easter egg hunt, the fishing rodeo, all that. And the special activities is kind of in and out. We run a program, the money comes in, minus the 10% fee that we take. And I just did some research, and I'm gonna talk to the Park and Rec Commission. We are very low with only charging 10%. Most towns are charging 20-25% on their programs. But then that would in turn equate to us having to jack up the price to our consumer, and I don't think we're ready to do that yet. But so minus that, and then like I said, just the Jackson Cove, and the thought process for Jackson Cove was that money always was being generated for park improvements, whether it's new picnic tables, which probably are getting backseated again this year because we're doing so much sand and so many docks, so.
And the other reason is, most of the revenue comes in for the summertime. The revenue starts coming in, I think it's coming in already, because I've seen the credit card sales pick up.
April 1st, you're gonna go crazy.
Yep.
That's when we open.
But then the expenses take place in the next fiscal year, which is July, August, September. So, we don't wanna put the revenue into this year and then have the expenses coming out of next year.
Yeah, that would be, that's a very good point. They'd be extremely difficult to,
We're not looking for a profit center, but some of this does offset some of the cost of the town,
Exactly.
which is good in the programs
Yeah.
you run. So the more offset you have, the more programs you can run. And there is if you look at his general ledger going way across, you'll see the different activities in there. The money's coming in and the expenses going out.
Okay.
Okay. Again, that supplies, that 70,000, that's gonna include all that work?
so the playground next door, I was just originally anticipating playground mulch. I have to rebuild the whole thing. We've lost about 12 to 18 inches of base. So now we need to bring in fill to fill it back in before we can put, the 2 to 4 inches of certified playground mulch on top of it. That's needed. We have equipment that needs to be replaced. The slide, if you're this big, you can get down part of the slide. It was just all crushed and caved in. So I've already had vendors out there. We've inspected it. They've told me what needs to be ripped out of the playground, what can be replaced, and they're getting prices for us. All of the railroad ties, timbers that border it are gone. They're destroyed.
To give you an idea on what a playground costs, the Board of Ed has in a playground for Quakers Farm School, first grade playground upgrade, $82,000.
Oh yeah, it's insane how much playground stuff is. I mean, if my pie in the sky, I would replace all of the wooden railroad ties with the nice molded plastic recycled bumpers. There's no way. I mean, it's insane how much it would cost to do that for parks.
And I'm still working with FEMA on it to see if they're gonna pick up 75%.
Okay, anybody got anything else here for, going on vacation?
What happens when your kids go to school
No,
out of
this-
state? Anybody who's got kids, make
Years
sure they
ago,
go to
Parker-
school somewhere that you wanna go visit.
Park and Rec, years ago, the big moneymaker there was the trips. Used to run a lot of trips, years and years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have not, since COVID, we haven't run the big trips that we run through Colette that would go overseas
No,
or
not
cross
even that,
country. There's just no interest in it.
There's-
People don't wanna do it. And this past year that we just had, people said to me, they're like, please no New York City trips.
Yeah.
They were just apprehensive about going to New York City, so we switched gears and we only did Rhode Island and Boston.
So, today it's too much of a liability to take these buses to, there's another one that flipped on the Jersey Turnpike for
No,
the
I didn't
students.
say that.
It's, there's just all the liability and everything's not, the trips, especially with the kids doing this stuff, not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody? Anybody else got anything? No? Alright,
Thank you, and as always, anybody has a question or concern after, just shoot me an email.
call anytime too,
Call
anytime.
anytime, it's my personal cell phone, but I answer it all.
She's the full-time employee. so
Well,
she
when you
answers it.
guys were talking about hours, all kidding aside, I work 24/7. I mean, our programs run at night, our programs run on a weekend. I can't ignore a phone call and be like, oh, call me back call me Monday at 9 o'clock. So all kidding aside, you got my cell phone, just give me a call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we're getting them.
Good.
We're gonna do 25.
Cultural arts and Center's cultural arts. Is anybody here at cultural arts?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's us.
Okay.
I'm Cynthia,
Oh, all
I
right.
am the chairperson, and I have with me, Rich is my treasurer, and we also have Adrian Radcliffe, she will be taking over the chair position eventually, and we have an alternate over here, Kathy Burke. So I had asked Adrian if she would speak for us, and I have some paperwork to hand out. We have some letters from some other commission members that could not make it. So I have this one, I have a few other ones. One here for you, Sarah, Chris. And Chris, I have enough copies. And they're just a little budget piece that I got this.
Adrian Radcliffe?
Do you need my copy of my letter?
I probably do need a couple more.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how many people were gonna be here.
It's the same thing as I was
One
thinking.
for each.
A lot of people.
That's one copy of each.
You have Sarah and Chris.
those.
They're separate. They're two different commission members.
Here's the one for Roy.
I'm just taking minutes.
Okay, all right.
You have different 13 than me.
Does everybody have? Okay.
Okay,
Hi,
how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
I think, I'm actually really happy that we went after Parks and Rec, because I think when you think about the budget and the size of what Park and Rec does and what we do in cultural arts is a very stark contrast in terms of like the budget, right? And so, from the bottom of my heart, I wanna say that, it's interesting because Parks and Rec is a lot of like sports and recreation and things like that. And so cultural arts is a lot of sort of arts and culture and, photography and, performing arts and things like that. And typically like the kids in our community are sort of sports oriented or sort of arts oriented. One of the things that always just resonates with me is that kids and families and communities that have strong sports organizations and have a strong sense of community have better mental health. They have fewer, issues in the school, fewer issues with drugs. And so I want to just encourage you to remember that the other side of sports is cultural arts. So kids also need a sense, if they're not involved in sports, they want to feel connected to something and have a community themselves and things to do and families and things like that. So I wanted to just say that before I started, and I'm not gonna read my letter, in great detail, but one of the things we do is we provide a lot of free, we did the spring fair, we do the arts and crafts fair. We got a tremendous number of people and tons of feedback about how they so want to have fairs like this more in Oxford. And, could we make this as big as the Orange Town Fair? We could over time. The other thing I want to let you know is that while we do have a lot of free events for the community, I'm a 33-year Yale University globally certified project manager. I understand fiscal responsibility, and so does Rich. And under Rich's, Treasury leadership, we have thought long and hard about the programs that we can bring forward that we can eventually make self-sustaining, so that we're not coming back to the table and asking you for money every year for the same things. What we've done over the years is we've been able to grow programs like the Arts and Crafts Fair, which is in the fall. It's self-sustaining. We don't ask for money for that because the money that comes in is the money that goes out. Very much like the special activities that you were discussing with Kira for that. And so some of the things that we are asking for are the investments in things that will take a few years to come back and be self-sustaining. And it's absolutely nowhere in the order of magnitude of that, but I feel like it's equally important because of the part of the community that is underserved and often overlooked. Because it's, sports is rah-rah and, everybody sees the logos out there. And people quietly attend lectures at, they quietly go to the library and look at the art gallery that we put up every quarter, right? So our community is a little quieter. The spring fair was a huge success, over 1,000 people in the community, tons of kids. And so we want to continue that and build that. So I'm asking for a little bit more of an investment. We're not asking for the total budget ask. I sat down and admittingly this afternoon, on my second page is a little budget cheat sheet, I'm gonna call this one, all right? And so what this is just a name of the program. Do you have a copy? Here, let me pass a few more down. And again, this is rough order of magnitude, right? I did not go through Rich's books, you know, on the detail, but it's rough order of magnitude, right? The type of program category it is, the event, the rough order of magnitude, the recoveries we expect from them, and the variance. The little color code to the right is the important part. Green means it's self-sustaining. Yellow means the intent is to become self-sustaining. So in other words, that's a program that we are building up to be a self-sustaining program, or perhaps even bringing money in. And the red programs are things that we actually really don't expect to get fully, our money fully back on, but we do recover some of the costs, and those aren't super deep pocket items. But some of them are really good ones, like, you know, having music, or, you know, Make Music Day, which we also do some programming for kids. Overall, when I add these up really quickly, we're at about 17.7 for what we would expect to spend. We expect about 6,000 in total recoveries, and the variance there to run our programs would be 11. So if our proposed rough order of magnitude is 17,730, and we project recoveries, we're talking about our budget request, a projection of like 11,000. So from funding wise, we're gonna take from our reserves $5,000, because we've been building up those reserves through the arts and crafts fair and other things. You have initially given us a budget of 2,500. That would give us a total funding of 7,500. That still leaves us a shortfall of 4,230. As somebody that is working very closely with Cynthia and Rich, my intent is to go back through these programs and really, you know, go through and find sponsorships, find places where we can get donations in kind and drive down the costs of some of them. So I'm asking for the other half of that. So if we do our homework and we bring down that shortfall 50%, I'm asking that you would grant us the other 50%, which would be an additional $2,115. So initially, I was told our budget was going to be set at 2,500, and so, you know, I'm asking for an increase of with 2,115, which would be a total request of $4,615.
Let's say you didn't get anything more. What would you cut?
That's a really great question. We would probably need to cut the music programs. We would probably have to shrink down the size of some of the things that we are trying to expand, like the spring fair. Where this year we've got, you know, 1.5 times the number of vendors. We only had a couple animals last year. We had a whole petting zoo this year, and things that really like drive home community. So what we would do is we would look at all of these and drive down by dropping certain programs. And then the other thing we would do is look for more donations in kind. We don't want to raise the fees on the things like we do. We ask artists who are already starving artists for a hanging fee to put their things in the library, right? To ask that to increase that, it would hurt. You know, we've already increased the vendor fees for the spring fair, almost 1.5, and we've got more vendors than we had last year, which is showing how that can build up. Like, I'm super encouraged by that, because that means if every year we can, you know, continue to build on that, I'm projecting 3 to 4 years, that could be a break-even event for us, and maybe that would only be 2 years if it continues to grow. But it's sort of like, you've got to be able to show how it grows every year to get more, you know, more people coming and more vendors wanting to come. Vendors are a lot of, you know, craft vendors are very much word of mouth. You know, it's a quiet community.
So where do you have your exhibits there? Show what you Oxford, what do you have?
I'm sorry, could you?
Where do you have all your exhibits?
So, you know what, we
At the
use all
library.
of the, the gallery is at the art gallery is at the library. The, spring fair is lower level town hall.
This is just like some of the voices.
Yeah, exactly, I'll get to those in 1 second. So, the spring fair runs here from town hall, we do the touch a truck segment in front of the firehouse. This year, all the vendors, we're gonna move over to the Grange, and we're working with the Grange and partnering with them on that, and all the parking is gonna be at the municipal annex. The fall craft fair is always at the municipal annex. Every year, we are continuing to grow our, sustainable inventory, so things that are reusable, that we can continue to use year over year, signage and things like that. As long as I'm here, I also wanna say we are running out of space downstairs, we are crowded and piled to the ceiling. So I'd love to put in a word for, if there's some room at the annex, it makes sense, we do a lot of our events there. If there's a way to park us there, to give us some space, it would be deeply appreciated and completely appropriate.
Quick question.
Sure.
Your programs, or are they 12 months of the year? So you're essentially asking for $2,500 to operate cultural arts over in a year.
Well, no, actually, you said you would give us 2,500.
No,
We
no,
need
no,
way
no.
more than that.
No, I know, I'm saying though, but the
Yes.
funding that's being
Yes,
proposed
it
right
is.
now is $2,500 to operate cultural arts in Oxford
For
for
a whole
a year.
Yeah. And so, and by the way, we have 7 amazing commissioners. We are all volunteer. Nobody takes a stipend. Nobody takes a stipend. Nobody takes a stipend. So every dollar.
Correction, 2 of our commissions go into their own pockets and make music year-round to make sure that this town has music.
That's right.
Yes, what I mean is that we're not taking town money and
I
paying.
understand,
But yes,
I felt
absolutely.
that had to go out.
So, yep, no, that makes a lot of sense also, so thank you, Kathy. That's Kathy Bart, if anybody is not familiar, she's an alternate on our commission. But, I mean, we even we do the Memorial Day parade, we're out there blowing, we had the bubble machine blowing and all the kids chasing us and throwing out candy. But a lot of us actually do give a lot ourselves, like, we're not just volunteers on the commission. I teach art classes, Cynthia, and Rich organize lectures. Cynthia she manages, like when we did like a Star Wars day and things like that. I did a henna class. So not only are we commissioners volunteering our time to continue to organize things like this, we're also volunteering our time to give to the town. The other 2 commissioners that Kathy was speaking about, Christopher Baxter and Sarah Mink, they have a music studio and they've been producing music and having music events, free for the community, and we're continuing to build those. And so we're looking for a compromise, right?
Well, wait, Scott,
Sure.
the budget isn't final.
Sure.
What you're looking at is a proposed selectmen's budget.
Okay.
It's not final yet,
Oh,
okay?
thank you.
And, I'd love to hear you go on and on with the
No, it's
with
okay.
stuff. We still got a busy night, so if you could, give us the specifics that you're looking for, and then,
Okay, so on my colorful little budget sheet, at the very bottom, it says, the funding, the current proposed budget is 2,500. That would give cultural arts, if we use our own $5,000 for funding, that's 7,500. We really need 11, that's a it's a $4,200 shortfall. So what we're asking for is if you can give us a total increased budget, 4,615. That's what we would call the compromise budget, and I'll work, I promise, work really hard to drive down the cost of the events, raise it, fees in places that make sense.
Including the 2,500? So it's 42 plus 25. Is that what you're asking?
No, I was,
42.
the shortfall is 42, and I'm asking for the compromise.
But if you use $5,000 from your reserve,
Yep,
are you depleting your reserve?
yes,
Of course, yes.
So essentially to be,
Penniless.
yeah.
yeah, it's, but that,
We're judicious in our
we are very, when I say that we are really good at pinching the pennies and finding the way, this how this, 2 years ago, what'd you guys give us, $200?
Yeah.
We did a whole year of programming with volunteers on $200. That's the kind of commitment you have, and that's the kind of desire and the appetite this community has for those events. It would have been very easy for us to say, $200, can't do anything, see you next year. The
Jack,
call,
I don't understand, what's the total amount you're looking for?
the total that we're looking for, $4,600.
The department request was 8,000.
Yeah, that's what we asked for
That was-
originally.
Yeah, but what are you here for? How much you want?
Are you okay, I wanna just be clear. Are you asking what we project our total budget to be this year?
No, I wanna know how much money you're asking for.
Then we would,
$4,600.
we're asking for
How much?
4,600.
$4,650.
Okay,
Okay.
I
That's the ask.
can tell you, that I'm listening to this, I think you've done a great presentation.
Thank you.
I think this is a very important part of the town. Not every kid is a jock, not every girl is a cheerleader. And I agree, it gives a sense of involvement, and I would support the $4,600. It's not a big ticket item when it comes to the town budget, but it could have a big impact.
And quite honestly, I was gonna say, if we're spending $4,000 on fireworks for one night, to turn around and ask the cultural arts to spend $2,500 for a year's worth of activities,
This has been going on for quite some
I
time.
mean,
It's very difficult.
Yeah,
We tried
it's-
to-
The thing is, to get going.
I'm
You
sorry.
create a program book where you ask the community to put an ad in a book to advertise for your fair.
We have not done that yet, but it is possibly.
That would make you a lot of money.
Sure.
I used to do Dog Days of Oxford.
Oh, yeah.
We made a
We
lot
wanna
of money.
bring
That was
that back.
We do wanna bring back Dog Days of
That was
We
quite
Oxford.
did, and we were
We
all
really do.
volunteers.
That was quite
There were
successful, the
4 of
dog
us.
days.
I mean,
You
the
get
first
things
year
going.
that I went and I saw Kara there, she was doing an amazing job, and I brought my kids there and they loved it. And so we were, like, again, it's like sad that little piece, went away, but I know that there's constraints and I get that.
People to make it work.
Well,
Yeah, it does.
Can
It does
we
take
have
a
some
lot of
money to
people.
bring that
I
back?
would
we
recommend
had no
that
money to put
on
it, we
behalf
put
of
it
the Board
together.
of
The
Selectmen.
volunteers went out, worked
It's
It's real
not
hard.
a big item,
put it all together, got
and it could have
vendors,
a big
and
impact, so
we brought in
Just-
a
you
lot
did a
of
great
money.
job.
Thank you,
The
Jim.
money that we brought in covered all the expenses of the
Sure,
fair and
sure,
a
sure.
lot more.
like, yeah, I mean.
And how we
I-
did,
I-
Well,
we
because
Yeah,
I'm the
thank you.
only one that's
No, I know, I
interested
just-
in really.
$200 one year, it makes me think,
I know.
I couldn't
And
ask
there's
for
other people who are
Okay.
passionate about it.
Clear out your own
Request
job.
was 8,000, and we were hoping, because even our budget for the spring fair alone was 8,000.
No, we got it, we get it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
we're
appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm sorry, it's Adrian
No, I want to stay.
RADCLIFFE.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tell you, like, you take in New Haven, people don't think it's a cultural city, it is a cultural center.
Oh, it is.
And they got museums that are free, the art gallery's open, the British Art Gallery, you never see a line. You never see, I don't know what, the Peabody Museum gets people in, but the art galleries, for some reason, they don't advertise, unless, unless you can steal the Mona Lisa.
But we're more than just art, we're also culture.
Yeah,
We're
that's
farmers,
good.
we support the Grange, we partner with the Grange, they have open mic nights that we support, and they use our equipment, so it's not just art, visual art, there's a lot,
It's a lot.
to support for culture.
Never fight with cultural arts.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next thing is center school. Do we have anything to discuss here on center school?
Basically just utilities and custodial right now.
Elderly commission's not coming tonight?
That's it?
Elderly's not coming tonight?
No.
Okay.
Center school, I think, is by the selectmen, yeah, 48, thank you. 48.
So, where's the stand up? I mean, who's picking up?
yeah, Park and Rec
Park and Rec is in there.
Ambulance has been using it for training classes. The police department will be moving over there in the future.
So, should some have been in the Park and Rec budget?
No, because they're not the only ones. Eventually, everybody's gonna be in there. It's like in this building, we don't charge the tax collector for the heat. We don't charge the tax collector. We charge it by the building.
Okay. All right. So it's,
When are the police moving in? Do you know?
No, I know I'm meeting with the architect again on Friday. To get some revised plans for FEMA.
Have we used all the line item in the fuel oil line?
As of now, not,
So it was 40,000 last year?
yeah, I mean, we've used 25,000, and that's through February. We're gonna blow through it.
they haven't fixed that boiler's gonna be fixed, no?
I don't know what they're doing with it. I know they're doing the renovation over there that ARPA's paying for, but I don't know whether they're gonna keep the main boilers there, or whether they're going to outside units. No.
It's always been a problem.
I heard they were keeping, I was on the upper committee, I think they're keeping the boilers, that's what I understand, yeah.
We just replaced them about 5
Yeah,
years.
they're not that old then.
All right. You got any comments on this one? This whole line of folks. Maybe to another day.
Just so you know, I see waste removal on there. Waste removal went out to bid today.
And is that shared at all?
That's for that building.
That's just for that building?
Right. But I put it out town-wide for what Public Works has for the recycling area and for all the municipal buildings except for the Board of Ed for the individual dumpsters.
Okay, we'll move right over to Selectmen. I think I got 27. I'm gonna leave this, I'm gonna let that one here.
Yeah, it's 42 on this one here.
Okay. Okay, who's speaking, George?
Sure. Any questions? Let me just go over a little bit of an overview of what I think we have to do. This summer, we're going to have people retire that we're really going to miss, like Gordon's one of them.
He's gone, isn't he?
He'll be done in
Yeah.
April, yeah. And, we're interviewing now. Surprisingly, we did get, someone that's interested, probably at more money than what Gordon's making. So, you know, we're going to have to, negotiate that salary, but it's an extremely important decision, especially in light of the, building that we anticipate and the building that we've gotten through and the buildings that have to be checked. So, you know, we have no choice. We're not very competitive on the salary right now. But you know, we do have some things going for us, a little less stringent as far as the working hours and things of that nature. But Gordon has a helper now, Al, and I don't know whether Al's gonna stay on. He lives in Stratford.
He's leaving at the end of March.
Okay, so that means, nobody, and we can't fly too far with.
Well, that job does produce fees.
Pardon?
We got an offset on fees for the building inspector.
Yeah.
Okay? So that gets considered into, you know, maybe the salary increase or
Well,
something.
yeah, but
I
I'm
can
just
tell
trying to
you-
give you an idea of what, maybe a little bit general, overview of what the salary requirements are going to be. We have, the secretary in planning and zoning, I think is doing a terrific job. She's been here a while. She goes on her own, she goes to, classes for planning and things of that nature. She many times carries the whole load down there. So I think that that's, an area that we have to address a salary increase, or upgrade it. I think in the finance department, we have an individual in there who I think is doing also a terrific job. She's entitled to a salary upgrade.
Hey, George, can I ask you one question though, real quick? On, the secretary in P and Z, they put in for an $8,000 increase. The selectmen reduced it, but now you're coming here and saying you wanna increase it, like that. You're saying that
Well,
she
they might have reduced it, what they reduced it to.
they reduced it by 8,000. So she asked, that person asked for 8,000, but then the selectmen
Well,
reduced it.
They reduced her salary by 8,000, but then the line underneath it says wages upgrade position, 6,000.
Okay.
So
We're
this way,
gonna
her
redefine
salary
the
and the
position.
salary line item matches the existing union contract.
Okay.
The 6,000 if something has to be negotiated into the union contract.
Yeah, we can't raise it without going through the union, we need an MOU,
Okay.
so that's how we had to put it into the budget.
Okay.
And there are other people that may be in line for a raise, as I pointed out in the finance department. I think ultimately we're going to have to get an assistant, or an assistant to the finance director, somebody that'd be qualified to handle Jim's job when he's on vacation, or should he get sick, or, you know, mental illness, anything like that.
Got that already.
That he might go through,
Got that already.
yeah, and she'll have an opportunity to, train with Jim. There's a lot more to it than X's and O's and, debits and credits. There's a lot more to that job, understanding bonding, understanding, finances, understanding when to look for oil and gasoline, like Jim does, that saves us hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So, you know, there's somebody that Jim could train under. As we all know, he's getting old and, you know, may not be around, but,
So we're gonna go out and recruit for that job?
yes. So that may be a new position that can expire when no longer needed. You know, if we don't need an assistant to the finance director. But, you know, I'd like to see somebody in there that's, capable of taking over for him. Another one that we haven't really put down is, Kristen's salary, you know, which I think is due for an upgrade. You know, Kristen and I do the same work as you know, I don't wanna mention the town, but there's a neighboring town that has 5 people doing what she and I do together. Every one of them make more than either one of us. So, you know, I think she's been immeasurably helpful, and I certainly would approve of that. And, you know, I think everybody on the Board of Selectmen feel that. So, you know, there may be, and also the grant coordinator, who I think is doing a terrific job, but I'm afraid we're gonna lose her because she's part-time and she's looking for full-time work. And you know, ultimately, I'd like to see her be a full-time. She's working, we hired Sullivan and McShane, the lobbyist firm, and they have a grant coordinator who's been working with her, and actually, they will teach her an awful lot about what goes on up in Hartford. And, you know, their employment with us will be temporary until we get, until we're absolutely sure what kind of financing we're going to get in return for the flood disaster or anything else that we need. And, you know, we'll have her all on her own. My original proposal would be to hire her full-time for not only the town, but the Board of Education. And, I don't know who does their grants over there, or if anybody, but, so, certainly somebody could work with her, because she's really doing a terrific job. And I think she's a very quick study and very smart, intelligent person, so I think she'll do fine. So that's kind of an overview of what we saw, today, by the way. Jim, did you talk to Jim Galligan?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a meeting with bid openings today.
Yeah, and, they're pretty encouraging. The bid openings were for Jackson Cove, I think he said 112,000.
116,000,
Yeah.
and the Griffin Brothers was he still has to check the bids, but that was the proposed low bidder.
Yeah, okay, and then we had, Brennan Construction, both of them are low bids for cleaning up the river, much less than I thought was even possible.
The
Yeah.
two bids together are about 350,000.
Yeah.
Immediately after the flood, we had a company called Ashbrit come in here.
From Florida.
And they gave us a number that they said they'd have to refine it, but their number was $10 million.
Right, so.
And Brennan's gonna do it for 350.
Yeah, and they have to work very closely with DEEP, because we may still have contaminants around there, and, well, I wanna clean all the garbage up and restore the original bed, and where possible, make it safer in the future as far as floods are concerned. Crispin and I met with one of the representatives of Trout Unlimited, and they're coming in to basically go along the banks and pick up garbage too. They'll be trying to get other, like Boy Scouts and things like that, organizations like that involved. But the bid, let me tell you how that works. Part of the bid is they have to dispose of what they pull out. Brennan Construction will have to get rid of it. And the reason that is that they don't, we don't get paid by FEMA. They'll drop, if they were to leave it here in town, that's it. We wanna transport it out of town, that's totally on the town's, dime, so we're not gonna do that. We put it in the bid. So I'm really encouraged by that. It looks like Jackson Cove will be back, that road will be back and ready to go. Obviously we have a lot of work to do with the dock over there, the boats and that. Maybe won't be able to launch boats this year, I don't know. But, and we have other beach work that, Park and Rec talked to you about. But, I expect the Park Road Bridge to be done next week. We've been waiting, the only thing holding us up is the asphalt plants opening up. Once they open up and we'll asphalt that, we're done there too. So that'll be the end of that expense. It won't get any worse. And, like I say, we're meeting with, when we have, Sullivan McShane again, Brian. Tomorrow. Tomorrow we're meeting with the lobbyists to see, get an idea how much, we can, what grants we can apply for and how much it'll be, so, I'm really, excited and, encouraged by our recovery and how little it cost us, because if you remember what it looked like, it was devastating. So, everybody did a great job on that, particularly Jim.
I'm gonna say, first of all, as far as Jackson Cove, the people you're dealing with are really good.
Yes.
Jim Galligan has done a great job. Griffin Brothers did good work. You got Brennan and Jim and Wayne and
Alterio.
for what we got, what we paid, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
Okay? Now, as far as grants, okay? I got the auditor on my back. Well, somehow we get grants, somehow the grant comes in and there's a portion to pay by the town. It never gets recorded to say it's paid by the town. It somehow gets buried in with the grant, with the money. It gets paid, we pay out, okay? We've been doing it for years. So that stops now, okay? We're not doing that anymore. We get a grant, we gotta know how much the town's gotta pay for it, and whether we wanna pay for it or not. So it's never been recorded, and some of it's been sneaking out of here, that our portions, it's never been recorded, okay?
Well, I don't know, I mean,
Well,
we put it out to a town meeting,
Yeah,
you know,
some
when
of this,
we
some
do
of
a
this,
grant.
some of this was not put for a town meeting. Like, let's say the grant was for $100,000, and the town had to pick up 20,000. The grant got approved there at the town meeting, but the 20,000 never got approved. It just got paid. It got paid with the grant, so the grant, it cost us $100,000, we paid the $100,000.
Well, if you're at town meeting and you approve a grant for 100,000, you take it for all its contingencies.
No, because the grant, the money, the 80,000 would come from, with the grant, the 20,000 is gonna come out of our
No,
pocket.
I understand
That wasn't
but-
recorded.
But the
Okay.
town voted it in, and the town presumably knew that it was a 20% contribution. I mean, I don't know what grants you're talking about, because
Well, I'd have to go back and
We've
you'll
always
get me the
tried
list if
to,
you want it, okay?
we've always tried to, I don't know, Jim, we ever do that? I don't know.
It's gotta be corrected. Talking to Sean from the auditors, actually just today, he suggested we set it up as a separate fund,
Okay.
which would be fine, cause then it sits out in the audit report.
It shows how much came in and how much we paid out. And we get the approval to pay out our share.
Yeah, but for example, like, the sidewalk going from Oxford to Seymour. You know, that's a huge grant, and Oxford's portion is gonna be $800,000 or so, $600,000 to $800,000. For that sum of money, it has to come before the Board of Finance to approve it, and then it has to go to a town meeting to approve, based on charter. So, I mean, I know we've had conversations that this is sort of an accepted grant, it's not.
No, but if you look at the capital plan that was approved last night, the grant is $4,250,000. The expected expense in 25-26 is gonna be $360,000, so the town's portion of that 20% is $72,000.
Do the math.
When you're doing the capital plan, hopefully it's in the capital plan, so you'll be looking at it when you get to the capital portion. And then next year it's $40,000, our expense is $8,000, it's not until the year 27-28 that $3,000,008 comes up for the big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think anybody's trying to hide anything.
No, it
I
just
certainly
was,
am not.
it was not done properly.
Okay.
And he should've, the auditor should've, a couple of years back, should've wrote it up. He
Well,
didn't.
You know,
So
I mean,
that's some of his fault, some of our fault, some of my fault, okay?
you know, part of the thing is your board is responsible for those, and I appreciate that. And my board is responsible for getting it done, and, you know, I'd like to get it done correctly, and, that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
Now, on salaries, okay, this board does not do anything
Right.
with salaries. But I will say, okay, with the salaries, I hear, well, we'll compare with other towns and the other towns don't do this and do that, okay? I could do that, I could take our whole school board and say, okay, we'll compare you to other towns. Depends what town we're talking about, number one, okay? The other thing is, I work a lot, private industry, some big size accounts. And I tell the people there, I list to them the benefits that our town pays, and they all say, I would take a 20% cut to get those benefits in my pay.
Geez, any of them, are any of them, building inspectors, give them a call.
Well, I will say one thing about Gordon. A number of contractors have told me the town is gonna really miss that guy. He is really good.
We know that.
And, you know, the other thing is the town does people a favor by having them build their house right and how to put it where it belongs, you know, like say the last 20 years. That's what the town has been doing these people a big favor, and we're gonna really miss Gordon.
Well, yeah, and you know, these people, well, of course, you know, you talk to somebody from Coventry and they say, boy, I'd love to have that, well, they're not coming down to Oxford, and they're not applying to Oxford because it's too far away. So we have a limited group of people that we could look for. So, and we have to have incentive because there's a lot of competition out there.
What I'd like to do is get I'm gonna ask the Council of Municipal Government, get a list of all the different positions and the salaries in like-kind towns and compare them and see if how far off we are.
A lot.
We're off.
We have that.
And there's, yeah, I'm sorry. There's part-time.
And I forgot Kira, I think, Kira's another one that.
Is she sitting over there quiet? Okay.
And, but we can't do that, it's beyond the contract, but when it comes up, I'm gonna suggest that she get a raise.
I'm just curious about that though. I think back in 2019, didn't we sort of do the analysis? So what happened since 2019 to now? Like, how is it that we didn't keep up? I mean, we should have, but why didn't we? If we
Because everybody's ahead of us.
No, but so we didn't keep up.
We did that one big giant increase we did in 2019, we did that, everybody, they got big raises. Yeah,
We were supposed to, because we
people
compared it to other
That was
towns.
non-union.
The problem
That was
is,
only non-union.
Oh, it's not, okay.
the data that comes out from CCM and the salary study is 2 to 3 years behind. So they'll send out the information now and wanna know what you were paying as of 24. When we gave the increases out in 19, it was something we had been looking at for a year through the personnel, which were actually matching it up to 2016 numbers. So when they got it, by the time it got approved, we were already 3 years behind the 8 ball. And then we stood still during COVID, whereas other towns did not.
Yeah, I mean, we're behind we're definitely behind the.
I'm not going anyplace, I'm in the twilight of my career, but I was offered a job as an assistant in a smaller town, making $18,000 more a year.
Wow.
Minus
You're still here.
20,000 more, at least.
Not against anybody getting a raise at all, but people gotta remember, all these things that people want, somebody's gotta pay for them, okay? Somebody's gotta pay for them, and I got news for you. I get the other end of it, when they don't wanna pay for it, all right? Believe me, I get a lot of complaints, they don't wanna pay for it. I say, well, wait a minute, you want a good school system, you gotta pay the teachers. You want a good, town hall, you want, good people working here, you gotta pay them, right?
Well, I think our budget isn't really, out of whack.
No.
I think we've been actually pretty modest. I mean, to the point, when I would say with, Park and Rec, the cultural arts, we were pretty cheap. There's a
I don't
difference.
remember giving them to it, I don't remember, I don't remember them coming here.
You did.
We
Okay.
gave them 200.
No, I'm talking about years
Before
ago.
me.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago,
It was
okay.
before us.
Jack, I can't talk about negotiations because we're in a public meeting, we're also being broadcast, but I can
Okay.
tell you, your comments are duly noted.
Yeah.
So anyway, but like I said, I think we're very much within, frugality. I mean, we have to, we also have to realize that, and, all departments, including the Board of Ed, has to realize, we had a flood. I keep telling George, our taxes going up, and that's what I said, we had a flood. And it was, maybe you had to be out there like Jim and I were, and Kristen was, and walk this area. Then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And for us to get the deals that we just got, with the contractors.
They're unbelievable. I rave to people, they're unbelievable. I tell, I'm very good friends with Nagus and Young. I was talking to Dave yesterday, and I keep telling him, I said, I can't believe what we got done for what we paid.
Well, the governor told me that. He said it's unbelievable what you guys have done.
Yeah, I'll say that 10 times, yeah.
And Boughton, Mark Boughton said that. He said it's spectacular. I said, yeah, I don't get it myself sometimes. But we put in a lot of hours. I think Jim will tell you that. And a lot of phone calls and a lot of trips, to get us in that situation. So
3/4 of today for probably more than that, was all on flood recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do that, we'll be doing it tomorrow, you know?
Well, tomorrow, a quarter of the day is the bond closing for the flood recovery money,
Right.
and, the rest of it will be on,
And our,
the police station.
you know, when the bonding company or financial advisor were there, I mean, they did nothing but compliment the finances of this town. And, you know, and as I said, that certainly, you know, this board deserves an awful lot of credit. And I think Jim deserves an awful lot of credit.
Yeah.
And our board deserves a lot of credit, because we work really hard. I know how hard we work. And, you know, when we didn't ask for, to send things out to bid, we didn't have to because we're state of emergency. For some reason, those contractors were competing with each other. And it actually worked even better. Because, you know, when, a lot of times they put a bid out and they say, well, what you bid? You know, what you bid, you know? And, there was none of that, you know, let's get to work, and everybody rolled up their sleeves, so. You know, I think the town's in, what would you say, pretty good shape?
I would say so.
I'd say we're.
I would say set that bridge, and when Park Road finishes, that's better than it's ever been. Both those places are better than they ever were.
Yeah, don't say that too loud. You know, we don't wanna, you know.
He told me the landscaping today, when I was talking to, Nick from Brennan, he said the landscaping was done, the fences are up, I don't know what fences we're talking about and all. But they're just waiting for the asphalt plants to open.
No, the guardrails he's talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was visualizing picket fences.
No. Well, I mean, you know, so I mean, that's where we are, and, you know, we'll continue to keep our eye on the ball. Like I said, I don't think that this is the time or the place to ask for a big increase on any board. And, that's kind of was the watchword when we went. And, you know, the problem is we turned Arnie loose. He's, as everybody knows, he's a little cheap. And, you know, when Arnie.
He's on a tight budget.
Huh? Well,
Have him on a tight.
I don't have to tell you. But, so, you know, it really, you know, we're ready to go with what we set forward. I don't think it's out of whack. I don't know what, the total figure is, but
We really don't know till
Yeah.
the new grand list gets put in, and the grand list isn't really completely finished, right, Jim?
Well, it's been, signed off, however, there are corrections that have to be made to it.
as there is every year.
Yeah.
But the one thing about the grand list, what our finance people said at that meeting, is just about every municipality in this state, their grand list has gone down.
They're going down, you know,
Ours is up 28%.
a neighboring town on the other side of the river, they've got a $6 billion grand list, theirs went down,
Yeah,
and they're blaming the motor vehicles.
It is, it's the motor vehicle.
In Milford, which is always sitting, you know, has certainly enough revenue, theirs went down, okay? And I've been testing, as far as the mill rates, they tend to go up this year, okay? Now, you can do a mill rate too cheap. And there's a town that we all know the mill rate is very low. They keep it low and they don't spend anything. They're down to now, the school board's still running a deficit. They got sued by the town, the school board did, like 4 years ago. You know, sometimes you can cut down too much, you can cut it to the bone. And people don't realize it, they spend like, they still less money, there's still not enough money in that budget for them to operate, okay? So it's always in between. You can't be too tight, you can't be, you know, a big spender either.
no, but I mean, I think I mean, for what we went through and where we are, and then to have the mill rate go up when everybody else is going down, I think that
But
The grand list.
The grand list is
the
going
grand
up.
list. And, you know, we look at the policy of this board and our board, that we always had a real good cushion as far as surplus is concerned. Turned out to be a pretty wise idea, I think. And, you know, sometimes, well, you know, we've been criticized, I certainly have. You know, people on the Board of Education, you know, you don't give us this, you don't give us that, but, you know, we stuck to it, and here we are, and I think we got a very good return on it.
I can tell you, I've been doing this for 45 years. My 13th federal disaster, and I've never seen a team work as hard as on this one here. It's just, it's amazing. From staff here to people we hired to volunteers. I mean, our liaison with FEMA said that he's never seen a spreadsheet put together like Herman put together on the damages. It's everybody has done a phenomenal job.
Can't forget Wayne did a lot too.
Everybody, I was just trying, Wayne, you took.
The firemen, oh my
Nick,
God,
yeah.
what they went through and what they did, it's just, I mean, the entire town.
I showed you pictures of the firemen being washed down the river, but then they're back the next day.
I remember the day that the flood happened, I was in the police station, and I came out, I'm up to my knees in water, and, you know, I said, so let's get these cars out of here, because we had the police cars there. And, two people from Governor's Hill Road came down, waded right in there, started the cars and moved them up. That's the kind of town that we have. And you know, when the day after, and I'm driving down 67, which you could hardly get through, there's just about room for one car to get between the tavern there. And you know, I really felt lonely. I said, oh my God, this is, you know, like I had the world on my shoulders. And then I looked around and I saw the firemen and I saw everybody, you know, pitching in and helping out and working. And I said, gee, that feeling didn't last long. You know, this is a hell of a town. This is, you know, it's a credit to everybody here. It's a credit to all the volunteers and all the people that contributed and all the people that worked together. But anyway, that's where we are.
All right, George, don't milk us up too much here, because that's $75,000 I'm not in love with, but that's okay. I can't mention any numbers anyway. It's just for information.
All right.
Okay. We'll talk.
Okay. Uh-oh.
The lobbyist. The lobbyist.
Oh, you know, I'm not gonna leave it stone unturned. That's the way, you know, you know, we're gonna,
Okay.
it's not gonna be that much, let's put it that way. And, you know, as soon as we get the application, see where we are, boom. But in the meantime, I think I wouldn't be doing due diligence if I didn't try everything we could.
Okay, anything else, anybody? No? Want to talk about Park and Rec again, Anthony?
If I could, just a clarification about the boat ramp. No, just a clarification about the boat ramp, because I think it's important. When the lake was lowered, it was cleaned out. We believe it will be sufficient to launch boats. Unfortunately, we're really not gonna know till we try. But like I said, when the lake was lowered, a lot of work was already done on the boat ramp. Thank you to Public Works.
If it's not, we'll have to.
Cross that bridge when we get to it, so to speak. Yeah.
Probably end up with a contract that is
Yeah.
up there doing
Yeah.
Jackson Cove Road, issue a change order for him to drive his equipment down the stream bed and fix it.
Yeah, so like I said, a lot of work was already done on the boat ramp.
Okay.
And you can
Done?
order them.
All right, yes, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you.
We still have town hall, right?
What do we got?
Town hall?
Town hall.
That's there.
Is there anybody representing Town Hall?
I think you took that.
You didn't say code for it, so.
No, I don't need that.
46 and 47.
No, no. I'm heard.
Did you do your own numbering?
I don't know, this, you gave out the other night, one you gave me,
Well, the one that you have is from last week that I mailed to you, and I didn't put page breaks after each department. The one I gave out to the board has a separate department on each page, so they can put all their notes on there.
I appreciate that. Cleaner that way.
But I was trying to save the tree.
Okay, so what we got here, wages, receptions, you know what that cost all this time. Right, Jim?
Yep.
I'm not even gonna,
I'll tell you, she's been, since they have not filled the position, it's still vacant for the selectman secretary. She's been working her tail off.
oh yeah?
So there's still 2 receptionists, right?
Yeah.
There's only one right now
Oh.
that's doing the work of 2,
Okay.
So
putting in
I-
the hours for the 2.
all right, custodian. It's,
Initials are TH for the employee,
For which employee are we talking?
the building custodian.
Oh,
Is that an increase of pay or just more allocated to town hall?
More allocated to the town hall. It's actually, that's his entire salary.
okay,
Versus before it was split amongst a couple different buildings, I
No.
guess?
It's all paid out of the town hall, but he works in several buildings.
We have, well, there's the one that says building custodian, that's the full-time.
I'm looking at
employee.
wages dash custodian, that's what I thought we were
That's
talking
Stanley that's here in the evenings. He comes in at 5 o'clock at night and goes home at 9 o'clock at
about.
night.
No, I was just curious though, that's an increase of 44% over last year.
We had cut the budget in anticipation that the person that's listed under wages maintenance would be able to do some of the work.
Okay.
the maintenance. That's
GR,
TR.
GR.
And that's an increase of 7.5%.
Mhm.
Is that just contract?
From where the budget was put together back last year, it was back 2 years, he got a 2.5, 2.5, and then there's a 2.5 in there for next
Okay.
year.
Got it.
You're gonna see that same thing, like if you look at my salary, because
Okay.
Okay, so. It's, what does that involve, the maintenance there to the town hall? Is that
he's now in charge of all the buildings.
all the buildings? Okay, so he's the facilities manager, basically.
Yes, I met last week with the dog warden, who was kind of upset at where the heating bills were and stuff, and so she and I talked about what had to be done in the building. I met the next morning with George,
Hmm.
and he's gonna be putting together a whole bid package on the renovations for their building.
Isn't that new, the building,
What's that?
the dog pound?
Not as new
The
as we.
new building is new. The old runs with the outside runs, which we have to have, are dinosaurs.
But
Been
even
there a long
the
time.
building, how long has the building been now? It's not as new as.
Jeff Haney built it, so probably 2018, 2019. That's in fine shape, except for one door going out to the old kennel. But the old part is, ceilings are falling down, the insulation's falling out.
The old part's tired,
Very tired.
yeah, so that's gotta be, somebody ought to make a proposal, here, to get a lot of that stuff up
That's
to
why
snuff.
I met with the dog warden about what had to be done, and then met with him and passed the torch.
Are we skirting any laws?
No.
No, okay,
That's exactly what we don't wanna do.
okay, no, I know that.
No, and we have, donations to pay for it. We just got a donation for just under $20,000 from an estate, that somebody left us that money in their will.
Wow, that's awesome.
For the
Dogs.
purpose of the dogs,
For the
or dog pound?
The dog pound.
You don't wanna get, people love dogs, you notice a lot of the commercials on television now, they all feature a dog, you know why? Because people watch it. So they got your attention, and you look, just pay attention, the commercials, you'll see the dog, and practically every commercial.
Sometimes I go through it real fast. If it's a sad one, I don't even wanna look at it.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
no,
that
can't
one,
watch
yeah.
those.
I'm just saying that the dog's friendly eating at home.
You can't adopt all the dogs.
No.
The commercial is that the dog food's in the refrigerator, they take that out of the refrigerator, and the little dog, the one guy gets upset that the dog, and the guys were like mobsters.
Oh, that's a great commercial.
Yeah, you can see that shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The Sopranos.
You know, it's,
If anybody asks, we were at grandma's.
right. What else is new here? Why is the telephone? You picking up the bill for it?
No, that's from, we had to bring in a dedicated fiber optic line for the registrar of voters. It's got 42 pairs of fiber optics in it, and we can't use it for anything except the one pair that's being used for the registrar. And we're paying for all 42.
Why do you have to do that? I'm just curious.
Secretary of State,
A
probably would vote
specific
her
type
for
of wire, like the 42 fiber optic cables, and you can't use it for anything else?
Right.
Oh.
And we have to hand dig from the pole out by the street. I say, wait, I didn't do it, but they were out there for a week and a half hand digging it because of all the other cables in the ground. They couldn't use the machine.
And this is to eternity, that 40,000?
Yep. Unless somebody can get to the powers to be and we can start using that and cut off Comcast. I mean, you see through that would be the January bill, we spent 22,000. So we're right on line for the 40.
The building itself, we ever gonna settle up the downstairs?
To be honest with you, I don't know, right now it's been cleaned up, we put carpeting in down there. The Arts Commission's using part of it, the building maintenance person's using it, the custodian's using it. And then it's being used for a lot of activities. It was used for several months by FEMA and Small Business Administration. Now it's being used by the group that does the taxes for the seniors. Every week they're down there. I don't know where they're coming from, a bunch of
They don't do that at the
volunteers.
senior center?
Not doing it down here. Gives a little bit more privacy for the people that they're not at the senior center and it's like, oh, Mary, I see you had your taxes done.
So,
It's like,
so there's no big move to move any of these big offices here? Cause I've got let's see, the town clerk, the, Gordon, and planning they don't have enough room to store their files. They're out of space, they've got nothing, everybody buries their head in the sand with
the
that.
key word in your statement was store. They might have to walk a little bit to get to a file cabinet, rather than having it right in their office. But planning and zoning, if they stayed right there, but the files from 10 years ago were downstairs in a vault. And you have to go to them twice a year, it's not gonna kill anybody. Same with wetlands, same with WPCA. Town clerk cannot do that, they gotta be in her vault. Building department, my plans from when my house was built in 1988 have to be in his office here, or can they be sitting someplace else?
You didn't get any water downstairs during the flood?
No. Fire department had over, close to $600,000 of damage.
Oh, I know that.
Most of it was on the equipment.
Of all places to have an emergency, center, right?
Well, to give you an idea, we just met with the NVCOG. We've been approved for the study grant to increase the drainage from Kirk's Pond over to Little River, which should alleviate the flooding at the firehouse.
Oh, yeah?
But that's the study money, then the COG's gotta come up with the grant money. So we're probably still talking a couple years down the road, but, and then hopefully with the septic system that I think you and I were talking about it. for the fire department and ambulance going up to center school, just pumping it up the hill should help with the water level over there also. What the idea is the Grange will pump down the firehouse and ambulance will pump into a holding chamber, and then it'll be pumped up the hill to around where the cannon is to go into the septic system for center school.
You know, I think the closest sewer line for around here is Rich Street.
Yes.
You go up that bank, go up to Rich Street, rather than thinking about going all the way back down 67. Okay.
When we're in private, I'll give you my opinion on septics or sewers.
Yeah, I know. I know, okay. So, anybody got any questions here? Is all this stuff been bid out, like the computer hardware, you buying new hardware, or you got?
No, that's just like the library. We've got so much here. We've got 3 servers in there, all the switches, everything.
But what does that $20,000 actually go to every year, if you're not replacing the hardware?
Oh, we are replacing.
Oh, every year?
Not everything every year, but it might be 6 or 7 desktops. Right now, last year we bought the server. They're installing it now as we speak. I just had to go and redo the ventilation system in the computer closet because it was getting too hot in there. I had to buy 2 new UPSs, which I was shocked at how much they were, but they're like $600 a piece. So it's a little bit here, a little bit there.
And then what about the maintenance? Is that either IT folks?
That's the IT. They're under a contract, $9,000 a year. That's around call, and they handle anything they can remotely. But then when it's something major or something they have to come on site for, we get billed for it.
But not at their going rate.
What's that?
Not at their going rate, because we also have the contracts, I'm sure we got.
No, I think next to nothing. I think it's like $125 an hour or something.
One other thing. Me and this printer has celebrated our 1-year anniversary.
I'm waiting for anybody wants to take it home with you.
What's wrong with it?
It's just worn. I can't print, I can't rely on it to print several hundred checks a week. But for somebody to use it in their house, it's
It's a laser jet?
Yeah, it's a great little machine.
Does it just need a new drum?
No, it's, the gears are worn out and
Okay.
But for somebody in their house, it's not gonna matter. If you're printing 20 pages.
If you don't have,
Color?
don't have to have a run,
Or you have a laser jet?
You know? if you're running 100 articles, then you can't rely on something like that.
No, that's why we got a new one.
Yeah. That's, I mean, rather than let's, put it out there, put it on the front, out front and say, here, free. Right?
Do we have any kind of I noticed under Park and Rec, they have an internet security service. Does any other department have a security service for the internet?
Ours
And
is,
why do they need one?
okay, theirs is for the cameras at the different parks, at Posey Panko, Jackson Cove, and Lily Park. Ours is in this building, and it's just part of the facility maintenance account. There's probably 24 different cameras in this building.
The Park and Rec doesn't do the one,
In fact, I think there was one in this room, wasn't there? Yeah.
Park and Rec doesn't do the camera at the
Nobody
Lily
had
Park.
them.
Lily Park, did they do that one?
What's that?
The playground, Lily,
The Lily Park has it. I remember we had.
they
the
have it,
problem-
but is that tied into this?
No, Park and Rec.
It is with Park and Rec?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what Victor was asking, why Park and Rec had it separately.
Well, I know that, I didn't know if that one was always separate for quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I don't
And
know.
Jackson Cove, thank God we had it down there, because we had the person that drove the car into the lake and drowned, and we had the drowning victim that walked in from Kettletown State Park, and luckily we had the cameras.
All these things that are in town hall, after we get past the people, it's basically contracts.
Yeah.
It's basically contracts or maintenance we have
Yeah.
after, okay?
And we do have, if you remember a couple of years ago, we were having problems with rodents in all the different town buildings and eating the ambulances and the wiring and stuff. Out of here, we're also paying for, extermination service for all the town buildings. What's that?
Not in the conference rooms.
You were eating an ambulance?
In this building, we have snakes.
I've heard about the snakes in the ceiling.
Really?
There's snakes in this building.
Oh, wow.
I hate snakes. I'm afraid of snakes.
I'm just looking over your head.
So, I think that's,
I just had a quick question. When George was talking about salaries and about how people deserve increases, which is fine. But if that's what the selectmen felt or feel, how come they didn't put it into the budget? Because we don't know what those numbers are gonna be.
Cause you gotta except for a few of us, everything is union contracts. Like when we're here tonight, the only people in the room that weren't union were myself, Kristen and George.
Okay.
And that's why, like with planning and zoning, she originally put it in with her number, and that's when I said, you can't put it in there because you gotta break it out separately. Because then they have fights with people, well, the budget says I'm gonna make 58,000 and you're only paying me 50. It's like, you get paid by the contract, not by the budget. And it's just, it hurts people. So that's why I had them break it out separately.
the rule was, we never put the salary increases in the budget, so they didn't see it, and it was hidden over in the contingency. So when it went in, all right, we didn't wanna say, oh, well, we're gonna give you this much of a raise ahead of time. It was under negotiation and things, so we always had an amount put away in the contingency to cover any salary increases. Why hedge your bet, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Because if you gave, well, that's why I also, in next year's budget, for the non-union people, it's in at 2.5%, because if we put in 5%, then the unions are gonna come in here, I think next week when we start negotiating with UPSU, and they're gonna say, oh, you're giving the non-union 5%, we want 10%.
Well, if the stock market keeps going like it is, we'll all be applying for the maintenance jobs here.
A couple more days like this, and
Man, I don't know. I don't know. Anything, let's see what we got next tomorrow. Something here?
Thursday.
That's what I was thinking.
Thursday night.
tomorrow night, steak
Yeah.
dinner at my son-in-law's.
It's Thursday night, right?
Okay. Police, Victor, bring your handgun. Police night, that's Thursday.
That's the big one.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, Roman asked if he could go first, because originally he wrote to me and said,
Are we
can you
paying
cancel?
overtime?
I have no idea,
Oh,
don't know.
usually they wanna be paid overtime.
My guess is with the state police contract, we're probably paying them overtime. But originally he wanted to cancel, then when he found out the meeting started at 6:30, he said, I can make it as long as I'm out by 7:30.
Well, he's first.
But yeah, everything else is.
Once we get past the police department, the interest and the debt and,
Board of Finance, Treasury.
Board of Finance. By the way, Board of Finance, you put in $400,000 for the contingency.
Just as a,
We always back that in. I would've left that empty. At the end of it, we get to the budget part, we get down to looking for nickels, right?
Yeah.
And then that's how we figure the contingency. What do we put $500,000 in there, as long as it's 1% of our budget?
Selectman Jensen, rightfully so, wanted to match up item for item, even though the Board of Finance didn't have control, Board of Selectmen didn't have control of it. He originally wanted to put in a number for Board of Ed, so when you looked at the total budget, you could say, here's what it is, not where, oh, look, the Selectmen approved the budget and it's only $20 million, because there's no contingency in there and there's no Board of Ed in there.
Well, that's
I
it.
know the three selectmen were having discussion and they agreed to leave the Board of Ed out because by statute they can't do
You
it.
can't do it, but the thing is, you throw that in there, and people, now they take that number as gold, it gets all over town.
Exactly, that's what.
And then people say, oh, you cut the budget, we'll all be on Facebook saying we cut the budget, right?
They probably had a half-hour discussion saying exactly what you were saying, and, but then they left the contingency in.
People will talk no matter what you do. You
Yeah.
gotta do what you gotta do.
But, you can't hedge that into the contingency. The other thing is, they say, like the Board of Selectmen, they have a meeting, well, we'll take this out of contingency. Not their call, right? It's not their call. We could take a contingency, we could send it to a meeting, or we could just say, we're not paying. okay? And the other confusion is with George, with the salaries. He was the big one that said we can't control salaries, and I agree, we do not have the ability to control salaries. So tonight he's throwing salaries at us.
I don't know, just mentioning, it's kind of carrying out.
And just so you know, when you're going through this, you're gonna see some things in here, like the benefits aren't allocated from the benefit account to the individuals. Some other things that I haven't gotten to, and it's really picking priorities. It's like, do you want bridges replaced in town, or do you want benefits allocated to each department when it doesn't mean anything? Do you want the $16 million invested? So the things that don't cost us money and really don't matter.
Well, the benefits that do mean something because it gives us the total cost of the department.
Right.
The benefits almost equal the salaries.
Yeah, but it's not gonna change. I mean, if I write the journal and put it in there, it's not gonna change.
No,
The benefits are what they are.
you could throw it in total.
No, I gotta go through each one of them. Cause I gotta go through, and it's like the life insurance is 35 cents per thousand, times their salary, times 12. The pension's $130 a person plus 16.73% of,
Well, you know what the state of Connecticut does, right? They throw all the benefits in one big pile. Who the heck's gonna go in there and find them, right? That's what they do. You know what they're doing? They're hiding it.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. Okay? It's a big cost to this town.
well, you saw it, when you were asking about it, Sonny, we're the only town that does it by
We're the only
department.
town that does it right.
That does what?
Does it right.
Does what right?
Puts the benefits in the department, so the overall cost of the department. The other, that town that I was talking about is the school board. They're way over the budget, okay? And they got sued by, Reddy, which is crazy. You sue the board, no, who's gonna be on a board? Who's gonna go out and hire a lawyer and everything else, right?
So I've been looking at my job, take it as it was the ambulance people. If you had 2 calls and one was to do CPR on somebody and keep them alive, and the other was to fix an ingrown toenail, which are you gonna do?
The toenail, of course.
Yeah. And I'm doing the same thing. It's what doesn't really matter is sitting, same with the audit. The audit's a history lesson. But the bonding is $2,000 of investment income.
What's our
debt,
extension on the audit go to?
to the end of March. I've been filing 30-day extensions every month.
So what happens if we go over the extension?
You file for another one.
You have to pay a fine?
No, there's towns that still haven't completed their 2023 audits. They just roll them out.
When is the auditor coming to talk to us?
When he finishes the audit?
I have a list of about 15 things I have to get to them.
Oh, so it's not
So
gonna be for a while?
My guess is probably late April.
Oh, okay. That's different than usual.
You know what the trouble is though?
It's just because I've been so busy with everything else, so.
No,
If I didn't take on the flood, it
No,
wouldn't have gotten done.
no.
Well, you know, the thing is, with your department, okay, you shouldn't have to do the benefits, the insurance for the employees, any of that stuff. That's not the accounting department. You took it on, you wanna take it on. You didn't have to, there's people here that could do it.
Well, there should be an HR manager
HR,
in
yeah.
town hall. That's,
No,
that does-
HR manager won't matter. You need an HR clerk. I mean,
Well-
HR has 2 things. You have hiring, firing, and discipline is a whole function, which can be your HR person. But then you need somebody that's gonna control the benefits, setting people up for medical insurance, setting people up for life insurance.
So you need HR department.
Yes, I've been.
Yeah.
Department,
But,
you don't need a
again,
formal,
it's 2 different functions.
you don't need a
Because by
formal head.
statute, all the discipline and all comes from the
So who
selectmen's
is
office.
functioning as the HR person? Is that?
Jim.
Paul.
Paul?
Yep.
Really? She does payroll, so payroll, you need a second person to do
Yeah.
HR payroll.
That's why she's
benefits,
here,
and all that.
that's why she's here till 7 o'clock
But I
every
mean the
night.
hiring and,
She was probably leaving tonight when you were walking in.
Yes, I mean hiring, firing, who's doing that?
Kristen.
that's what I said.
I sit in on the interviews for the hirings.
But is she qualified to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, when you have an opening in Public Works, she does the advertisement, she does it, sets up the interviews and all. Then it'll be the people from Public Works that are in on it, and whoever else they put on the panel. If it's somebody from the town hall here, I'll usually, like last week we did the assessor, I'll sit in on it.
So once the department, whatever department that is, does the interview and they say, this is our candidate.
No, they don't get, they come to Kristen and say, we'll take Gordon as an example. I'm leaving, you have to hire somebody. She then sits with Gordon and finds what do we have to put in the paper.
Yeah.
And she puts it out and gets all the resumes, sets up the interviews.
Yeah.
Then, she'll set up an interview panel.
Yep.
Which depending on the person and the department, different people get picked for it.
Yeah, but then once that panel, whatever panel that is, decides this is the candidate that we wanna go with, she's the one who, onboards them?
Well, then it goes to, the recommendations made to the Board of Selectmen, they approve it. Then she, gets turned over to finance.
So you on board them?
So,
And I'll tell you
as
what's
we
been,
get bigger, that's the thing,
that's
that has to
amazing.
go.
and what's a huge problem this year is, counseling for retirees.
HR.
Yeah, you need an HR person
Absolutely.
who
I mean,
handles like
today
benefits.
I was sitting in my
payroll, and-
office this afternoon, I heard Paula talking to somebody, and I didn't recognize the voice. Paul, who's that? Oh, it's so-and-so's husband. Oh, yeah,
Quite
she
honestly,
retired 15 years ago.
But honestly, those types of conversations and phone calls need to be done by people whom have the background and knowledge to do them properly.
Well,
And I'm not taking
No.
anything away from anybody,
No.
but you have to have the discipline that you've been trained to do these things.
which we've done, like on the pension, we sat in the state told us what we have to do on the benefits, it's in the contract, you gotta explain to the people what's in the contract. And then they gotta bring in their bills to get their reimbursement, or whatever they have to do, it's just explaining the rules to them. And you gotta go by the rules. You know, rules are very easy to follow. You start running into problems when you start making exceptions to
Yeah.
rules. So we're very stringent as far as we don't make exceptions.
I get
So
a
it
lot of,
doesn't make people real happy.
I get a lot of people come to me, let's say they left Sikorsky's, and they get this, all the paperwork, to decide for all the paperwork for them, because their HR doesn't sit down and give you all the necessary paperwork to sign. I get that, people leaving jobs, or should I retire, how am I gonna do this and that, and I also get, either the widow or the, on the death, how to straighten all the finances out, and what has to be done. Believe me, that's a side of my business that's really getting bigger and bigger.
That's what we're finding too, it's the same thing. Unfortunately, we have an employee, it's not the case now, but all of a sudden they find out they have terminal cancer, and it's like, what's the best, the world stops, and what's the best for you to take with your pension benefits and everything else, so that you protect your family down the road.
Okay, so
We
tomorrow,
also took over risk management, we also have, I guess I'm the, chief information officer
See,
too.
but that's too much. You shouldn't be doing all that stuff.
that's,
Somebody's
that way
gotta do it.
we would,
I get that,
it
but
would
that's
move
where.
along, it would move along to find the, programs and everything else we wanted, if you didn't have to get sidetracked with all this stuff,
But-
and you ought to.
Well, that's where I think as us, why can't we recommend in the budget, I'm just making this up for discussion purposes, an HR manager and an HR clerk, why can't we add that into the budget?
You need an you need HR coordinator, I don't think you need an HR manager.
Okay, whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you call it,
It's,
you need
it's,
somebody
you
to
need
manage the
another,
function that
professional
it'll
body
kind of-
Yeah,
in finance.
professional, HR, professional finance,
No.
trained.
No, under human finance.
Oh, no, it shouldn't be in the finance department, in my opinion.
It's an integral part of payroll. Otherwise, it's back and forth, and it's gonna be, well, how much do they have to deduct for?
It doesn't
really
medical
matter
insurance?
when you,
Yeah.
it's
School board has
a
to
separate
HR.
function.
But a separate function, exactly.
They do a lot of hiring, the school board does that.
Whatever.
But as far as when we put people in there, okay, we can't dictate a salary for those people. We could put a recommendation that this should be done, we can't put a person in a salary in, okay? I mean, we could do it, but it's gonna,
So couldn't we make
it's
a
unenforceable.
recommendation and kind of put money in a contingency to say, well, we're putting this aside just because we made a recommendation?
yeah, we could do that.
For an HR
The
person?
problem is you're limited in the amount the maximum amount you can put into the contingency is 1% of the budget.
About 500.
So it'd be around 500, and we're already at 400 just to make it through operations.
And what's your, what's your plan at all for this assistant director? Are you guys looking for that person yet, or are you?
I haven't even thought about it.
I mean, but what happens if tomorrow you say, I'm done?
Not gonna be my problem.
Well, it's
I
the
always
town's,
use the analogy
it's
that-
the town's problem.
Because if I said tomorrow I'm not gonna be doing it anymore, it means I'm gonna be dead.
Well, but it's the town's problem,
If I'm dead, I don't care.
But I mean, but you're an integral part of this town, and you do so much. There has to be somebody whom we could turn to who's competent to take on what you know and your experience, that's professionally trained in how to do these same things. Not just taking classes, but has actually got a background in these types of things. And that's the type of people we should be looking for. So I would think, just like with the building department, we're starting to look for that person.
I have some plans, but I have to sell them to the front office first.
Okay.
But, you know, every year we're looking at this, and him, he's doing 10 jobs at once.
I know.
And when you do 10 at once, you don't get, you start lacking in certain areas, okay? And you can't do it. You can't take the stress, right? He doesn't need the
Well,
stress.
it's not the stress, it's, I feel guilty, like when Brett tells me the other day, I didn't have line L6 something tied into the form, it's like, oh shit, I screwed up again.
That was a simple thing.
No, but I'm saying, but it bothers me, that type
Yeah.
of stuff, because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And it was something
Right,
that
not
just,
because you didn't know how to do
no.
it, just
at
stupid
the
mistake.
selectmen's meeting with, some transfers last month, there was like 2 or 3 things that I put the transfers in for, it's like one of them I'd already done the meeting before, another one I did, it's like, 'cause don't have time to go back in.
But I think that's Jack's point, is that you're doing 10 things, you can't be focused on really what needs to get done.
What really pushed it over the edge was the flood. And I took my first 2 vacations in 15 years.
That's it, no more vacations for you.
Yeah.
The golf season's starting.
I can tell you, when you get loaded with work,
I'm
you
ready.
start
Ready to
taking,
sign
try to
in.
take a few shortcuts to get the work out. Because especially when you're working deadlines, it's tough, it's really tough.
It's muddy. You hit down at the ball and,
Yeah, plus that, make a mistake, you get sued, right? You get a preparer penalty up to $100,000 per return, that's not chicken feed.
Yeah.
But, I just say, the more you take on, okay, something's gonna get let go.
yeah, well, I can tell you, a lot of the stuff's been taken on, like when I first came here in 2005, and I asked, about insurances, I realized they don't have a risk manager and it's not being done the proper way, so I said, I'll take care of it to get it done. That was back in the days of Augie Palmer, before even Mary Ann. It's, and then you have, something else comes up with the IT. It's like, oh, Joe Calabrese left. It's like, somebody's gotta do it.
Calabrese would have been great for that administration.
He was there, wasn't he?
He
Or was that
was-
Carl
No,
He,
Carl was, but Calabrese was a good.
for Mary Ann, right?
Mary Ann, he was her administrative
Yeah.
assistant, and then he ran for first selectman, and, George Beadle, was it George Beadle?
Yeah. It was-
Oh, I go back to the golden years, but, you don't wanna know. All right, so tomorrow.
No, tomorrow.
Thursday.
Wednesday, it's Thursday. I'll be playing golf, I'll be playing, poker up at Oxford Green.
As long as we're done by 9:30.
Are we done by now?
UConn,
Oh, that's right, Thursday.
first game, Thursday night.
Yeah, we gotta be there.
Men,
Of the Big East?
Yeah.
Is that, down the guard, you going on the guard?
no. I'm going on my couch.
Actually, you better off.
What is your address? 18?
It's 7.
Yale might make the NCAAs too again this year. They got, but you know, they've been slugging them now, but they're the number one team in the Ivy League, so they get in automatically. Okay. You know,
Women.
Does anybody know of an NCAA pool anywhere?
Maybe you should